Revilla and AG Gilchrist will be taking on Brian Williams and Terrence Romeo as two teams start their campaigns here in the Commissioner's Cup.
Averaging just about 20 points per game. I mean, that's pretty dangerous, especially when they're starting.
Oh, syempre, simula na po dito sa ating first quarter at simula na rin po ng tag-isa ng tunay na lakas. Cobra, gusto ko pa as we begin this game. And the Commissioner's Cup for both of these teams. Nards Pinto, not able to make that one, but gets his own rebound. Canaleta will have it. Fresh 14 po para sa Mahindra. Mike De Gregorio, two surprise starts here for Mahindra because of how they played at the tail end of that Philippine Cup. Was Nards Pinto and Mike De Gregorio. Looks like a lot of confidence has been given to these players.
Well, I think they're trying to switch things up a little bit, show the opposing side different looks, and also, you know, help these guys gain a little bit of confidence.
Now, of course, that three-point shot a while ago is brought to you by Oppo F1 Selfie Expert Courtesy po ni KG Canaleta. Brian Williams sa poste. Pringle for three. Got it. And that three-point shot is brought to you by Oppo F1 Selfie Experts.
And great patience displayed by Brian Williams, waiting for the double team. He recognized the double team, finding a wide open Stanley Pringle for the knockdown three-point shot.
These are the two, I don't want to say worst, but according to stats, dead last in defense, so we're not really going to be expecting much of that today, Alex.
I mean, both teams like to get up, especially Globalport, they like to get up and down as Gilchrist knocked down the jump shot.
I was talking to Rich Alvarez before we started everything. We were walking on in, and there were a lot of concerns about AG Gilchrist, rather, Michael being his distant cousin, rather. He said that he was hoping that AG would be a gamer. What does that mean? When there's a lot of doubt when it comes to like practice games and all that.
I'll tell you what, sometimes it's just really tough. I've been in those situations where the import arrives, you've been practicing with him, and you're waiting for him to start getting off. He's not really doing much to show you anything in practice. Then all of a sudden you get in the game, and before the game, you're nervous. You're like, man, is this kid gonna show up? And then all of a sudden, at the end of the night, he'll have 30 points and you guys win. So it's really hard to tell.
Mahindra up by 1 right now, 7-6. Wala na pong 10 minutong naiiwan. And Terrence Romeo, mapipituan ng traveling with absolutely no pressure given to him from Nards Pinto.
We talked about the referees and how close and how sensitive they're calling things. So, you know, guys like Terrence Romeo have to really watch themselves.
Gintod, pinagsak ngayon kay Nards Pinto sa poste. Kontra kay Romeo. Pinto, up and under. Can't finish. Gilchrist inside. Trying to throw it home, no good. Nards, linabas na lang. Fresh 14 naman para sa Mahindra. Gagamitin ni Mike De Gregorio ngayon. De Gregorio, jumper is in.
Nice shot. Nice for him to recognize that pick and roll. Taking advantage of that, getting himself wide open.
Tatlo na pong abante ng Mahindra as Romeo with the jumper is in. It's a long two for him. And Terrence Romeo picking up right where he left off in that Philippine Cup.
Got to get your hand up. You know how dangerous Terrence Romeo is.
And you don't want both Pringle and Romeo to start off hot.
No way.
As well, KG Canaleta feeling it from beyond the arc. That's his second three-pointer already. He's got 8 points.
You know, assuming he's feeling pretty good. I know, from my understanding, he's celebrating his birthday sometime this week. So, you know, he's feeling a little bit good about it.
Got that birthday vibe going. Always helps. Romeo from deep. Wow. Like I said, picking up from where he left off.
You know what? That was actually pretty good defense. He was right on him.
Gilchrist ngayon na may tanga ng bola, linipat kay Pinto. Nards, nasaraduan ng pintuan. Ginto with the jumper. Got it.
I really think Ginto is one of the key big men for this young Mahindra team. He's the guy had actually pretty good conference last night.
Well, there was one point where he was leading the rookies for that statistical race in Rookie of the Year. Samarad ang inbound. Pringle with it now. Looking for Romeo. Instead, gagamitan niya ng pick. So si Brian Williams. Pringle. Driving. That is a push-off foul. It will be called on Ginto.
What a tandem there. I mean, first off, now Stanley Pringle's posting up.
15-foot jumper's good.
That's how dangerous these two guys are. They couldn't get the ball to Terrence Romeo. No worries. I'm just going to go ahead and take it myself and get fouled.
As Di Gregorio forcing, missing, foul on the inside called on Brian Williams. Do you remember seeing backcourt this dominant? What would be the last one? Would you say like JJ and Mark?
You know what? That's actually a good one. JJ and Mark. You know, back in what, the mid part of the decade, about 2005. I think that was their real good years with those Never teams. Yeah, fast and furious. But I mean, these guys, we didn't see them averaging over 20 points a game, though. You know.
16-13 na po na sa ating talaan. Tatlo pong abante ng Mahindra. Romeo finds Kramer. That is 3 in the key. Called on the import, Brian Williams.
Kind of has to watch himself a little bit. I'm sure there's a bit of adjustment from the ABL going in here to the PBA.
So Di Gregorio will bring down the ball for the red shirts. Wala na pong 7 minuto na iiwan sa ating unang kanto. Gilchrist crosses up, drives against Williams, off the glass and in.
And this is what I'm talking about, you know? Like you said earlier, gamers. Nice move by Gilchrist.
See it there, 18-13 now, 4 points on the board for the import for Mahindra.
AG is on top. I want you on top. One-on-one on top. It's too slow for you. Okay? Now, on defense. Report. Now! Okay.
From the Big Dome, welcome back to the PBA. The Mahindra Enforcers is one of the teams that resumed practice early. They started as early as January 6th, and Coach Tito Victorero putting emphasis on the little things, the smallest of the details that they wish to do, make it a good habit, and eventually they do it on a consistent basis. According to him, this is the answer to their problem. In last conference, where they would just stay in the game, they would be very much competitive, but they have trouble finishing strong and eventually winning. Now, the lineup remains to be just the same. They have an addition. Of course, we're seeing their import, Augustus Gilchrist, and they've already activated Leo De Vera, the 6'4" shooter from San Sebastian that they acquired in the draft. Gentlemen.
Thank you for that report, Riza. Yes, barely any changes to this Mahindra team, but you know, going back to her point, yung sinasabi nga ni Coach Tito Victorero na they're close, but they can't close out games. That's experience, right?
Well, that's experience, but you know, hats off to Coach Tito because he has the right idea. Details and the little things are what makes a difference between winning and losing.
Brian Williams in the post. That's another 3-second violation called on the big man.
He's got to make the adjustments. Now, earlier out of that timeout, Coach Tito saying, I want isolation from the top from Augustus Gilchrist against Brian Williams. He thinks Brian Williams is too slow for him.
And immediately a switch on the defense has Doug Kramer guarding A.G. Gilchrist. A.G. jumper. Can't get it in. Rebound for Brian Williams. Sa kabila, ito na si Terrence. Kontra kay KG. Wala. Rebound for Mahindra. Running on the other end is Mike Di Gregorio. Pull up for 3. Got it.
Nice shot.
Stolen away. Here comes Mahindra. Canaleta for 3. Can't rein that one in. Romeo will take in that rebound. But yung scrappiness ng Mahindra, able to stop those passes.
This is one of the major problems for Globalport, and it haunted them in the playoffs. Turnovers. They think they have numbers, they think they have the advantage, but they also have to take care of that basketball.
As coming into the game now, ito na ngayon si Carl De Hesa, pati si Mark Yee. Romeo Mintes. Gilchrist will inhale that rebound and keep his team at an 8-point advantage. Ginto. Nahanap ang kanyang import. Gilchrist with it now. Humingi ng pick si De Hesa. De Hesa splitting the defenders, but great defense. And goodbye, says Terrence Romeo.
Great kind of a closeout there. I don't know if that was a trap, but they did a good job of closing in on De Hesa, causing that turnover.
De Gregorio for three again. Back iron. Rebound will be with Globalport.
And the pace is picking up, Aaron. It's picking up.
Shaking off that cobwebs from the last conference. Romeo, sumalaksak. Semerad for three. Williams with the rebound. Put back is in.
That's what Globalport has been missing. Huge big guy in the middle getting the offensive rebounds. Doug Kramer does a really good job, but that size and the ability to finish around the basket.
De Gregorio now to Dehesa. Dehesa finds Ginto. Free throw line jumper is in.
I mean, that's a great shot there. Great pass by Dehesa. Big men can make a living out of those type of shots.
Nakahanda na pong pumasok para sa Mahindra si L.A. Revilla pati si Aldrich Ramos. Semerad for three, second attempt, same result. Williams is fouled and that will be a sideline inbound. There's two more substitutions ang ipapasok ngayon ni Coach Chito Victorero. 4:03 to go in the first quarter. Mahindra looking a lot better than they did in the last conference.
Looking really good. They're getting the ball around. They're knocking down the shots that they're supposed to knock down. And they're causing turnovers, which is all a good sign.
Ito na yung tapatang Revilla and Romeo. Romeo.
Man. And you saw Augustus' hand, just slightly missed that shot. But, nice shot by Terrence Romeo.
Confidence through the roof. Still for Romeo. Dehesa kontra kay Taha. Nakakapasok lang. Ramos for three. Got it. Or rather, long two.
A good substitution for Coach Chito. Aldrich Ramos, we know he's a big guy, about 6'6". He stretches that defense. He stretches that other big man to come out, forcing him to come out. That interior defense should be wide open as this game persists.
Romeo, binagsak ngayon kay Williams. Binalik kay Romeo. Nakahanap ng puwang. Williams trying to keep it alive. Another foul is called and it will be on Globalport import. Si Brian Williams. Pangalawa na yan sa import ng Globalport. So far, the one thing that everybody always talks about is when it comes to imports, Ali, is you got to watch the fouls. Getting used to the physicality.
And they figure it out in the first 5 to 10 minutes of their first game here in the PBA. And you can see a little bit of frustration on Brian Williams on that last foul. He's like, what do I have to do? So in his mind right now, he's saying, okay, I got to ease back a little bit.
9-point advantage na po para sa Mahindra. Romeo, gets rejected by Gilchrist. Revilla losing it but will keep it alive. Yi kicks it back out. Ayusin na ngayon. That's a three and the key called on AG. Timeout on the floor, I believe, will be called by Coach Pido Harencio. His team is down by 9. 2:38 remaining in the first period.
Pare, kailangan lang natin, pare, huwag tayong mag-stand up. If let's go one-on-one, let's keep on moving. Yun lang, keep on moving, okay? Now, you have a good ball movement, pare. Okay yung ball movement, okay yung patience natin. Okay, so make sure, hand off AG on hand off on that Romeo. You show, he will take that shot. He will take that shot, okay? Okay, let's time it.
28-19 po nasa ating talaan. 9-point advantage para sa Mahindra Enforcer. And brand new 5 essentially here for Globalport except for their import. This is where Globalport has always had their problems. When it gets to the depth, when both Romeo and Pringle are not on the floor, where do they get their points?
This is so crucial because this is what, in my opinion, this is what cost them in the semifinals. Other players have to step up. They have to make a conscious decision.
Sumang, one of those players that's very, very capable of putting that offensive cudgels on his shoulder. Nakapasok nga niya yung jumper na yan. So, baba na sa 7 yung abante ng Mahindra. Augustus Gilchrist stripped away. Gilchrist again, no. Rebound, foul is called on AG.
It's always interesting seeing the two imports go at it underneath the basket. 6'10" going up against 6'10". You just wonder, like, I'm sitting up here watching it. Before I was down there actually seeing it. The sweat bouncing off of both of them, and you just wonder who's going to win on this particular possession.
They're both built very differently. Gilchrist a little bit
More
lankier.
slender, yeah.
Foul called on Aldrich Ramos. Sa hand check niya kay Brian Williams. Kanyang unang foul, pang-apat pa lang yan ng Mahindra.
I mean, Brian Williams kind of looks like the old Brian Williams from the Chicago Bulls.
Yes, he does.
Bison Dele, right?
Yeah.
They kind of look like each other.
Bison Dele.
Well, the late Bison Dele. God bless him.
Taha for three. Short rebound goes to Mahindra. Nice call on that one. Nice call.
I had to say it.
Eli Revilla may taka na bola ngayon. Carl De Hesa. Marquis sa poste. Kahanap ng kasama. Chito Jaime for three. Got it.
So far, Mahindra doing a really good job of moving the ball around. That was a great look out of the post by a guard in Mark Yee.
And that's 5 3-pointers na po para sa kupunan ng Mahindra. Yo not able to score, but Taha able to put that putback in. Revilla humingi na screen. Revilla for three. Heat check para sa kanya. Taha on the other end. Lalabas na lang niya. Taha gets it back. And now they've dropped it into the post. Great defense by Mahindra so far in this one. Of course, if you guys like what you're seeing, you guys can show your love to your favorite PBA personalities using Shout, a new way of expressing yourself quickly and easily. Check out sports5.ph and look for the Shout tab or column and vote yes for your PBA idols. This is free with no registration required. Yee with the steal. Another turnover para sa Globalport.
Mahindra doing a really good job of collapsing on Brian Williams once he gets the ball, whether it's off of an offensive rebound or out of the post.
De Hesa kontra kay Joseph Yo. De Hesa trying to get around, can't find anything. Throws it up, not counted. Dami pong fouls dito ng Globalport to stretch out these last 6.1 seconds. Brian Williams will sit down and a timeout is called on the floor. 30 seconds. Your impression so far of our two imports?
Well, both of them look pretty good. Brian Williams kind of struggling with the calls, having to adjust to that and realizing that every time he touches the ball, they're going to collapse. So even more so for him to kick the ball out. But I actually like what Augustus Gilchrist has been doing so far, making pretty strong moves to the basket, staying active.
Of course, the import of Mahindra na si Augustus Gilchrist. Sabi niya sa akin kanina na distant cousin niya yung Michael Kidd Gilchrist.
Distant, very distant.
Still some fouls that can be given away. Jaime for three. And that will sail out and end the first 12 minutes of basketball between our two teams. It has been, of course, a showcase para sa ating dalawang imports.